About 14 years ago, when I took the job with the office of the bishop, I decided it was time to abandon my sleek and souped up Stratus RT and opt for a more sensible vehicle to travel around the synod, namely a Jeep Wrangler. It was a hard decision. I loved that car. It was hot. It had enough under the hood to get me in some real trouble. I got my first speeding ticket in that car. It also was a car that got noticed. I loved the attention, particularly from those younger females that seemed to really take notice when I would drive by. A Jeep just wouldn't cut it in the same way. And then one day, I pull up to the stoplight on Main Street, and a Jeep pulls up next to me. Its driver is a beautiful blonde. She looks over, and she waves and smiles. Maybe there is something to this Jeep. I didn't think much about it until one day I was driving in the forest, and this Jeep came by with a number of young girls in it, obviously, having just come from the pool, top down. They too waved. This is good stuff. And then one day I was driving the back roads of Clarion County, and I encountered a Jeep coming toward me. It was a toothless old man in a baseball cap, gun strapped to the roll bar. He too smiled and waved. What was that about? I asked some of my friends later about my experiences, and they laughed and said, "Didn't you realize we Jeep owners are a community? It is customary, if not sort of mandatory, that when you pass a Jeep, now a real Jeep, you wave as a sign of acknowledgement that you too belong to that Jeep club." It's been interesting how that has affected me over the years, now on my third Jeep. Even walking down Main Street and the Jeep passes me, my first instinct is to wave, and then I realize I'm not sitting in the Jeep and they wouldn't have any clue what was going on. But it has forged for me a sense of community. Okay, it's a crazy community. It's not really community, but there is a sense of camaraderie, of shared experience. And perhaps it's because of that shared experience I heard the Jeep ad on Super Bowl Sunday a little differently than some of my friends and colleagues did. I didn't see it as cheap emotional manipulation, or I missed most of the latent Christian nationalism that others have pointed out. What I heard was a call to community, a community that I understood, a community to gather in the middle and to begin to do the hard work of restoring unity within the nation. It's a cry that I'm hearing all around me, from my most conservative to my most liberal friends. We all recognize that we're living in a broken world. And it is a world that teeters on violence. We have become so militantly divided. When I start recognizing my own anger and my own instinctive responses to what I hear or see, I know we're in trouble. If we don't work together to find some solution soon, I truly fear for the future. We are searching for hope, and we look for signs. There are those that really don't want hope. They're the voices we're hearing most loudly. But there are those more subtle voices that are struggling to find signs of hope and ways to begin to work. If we truly believe that the prophets, that Paul, that Jesus truly believed in an age to come where there would be shalom, wholeness, then we have our hope. If you read the biblical material, that hope is not in some heavenly sphere. It is in earthly reality. Even the apocalyptic material of Revelation talks about the New Jerusalem coming out of heaven to earth. If God is working for that unity, that shalom, that should be hope enough to get us motivated to begin to do the hard work. I've been pressed a lot following some of these meditations as to, okay, Pastor, how do you do this? And it's interesting because most people start with a thing, I tried to talk to somebody about it, and they just didn't want to listen. And I think that's the problem. We need to start listening and stop talking. We start needing to hear the worries, the fears, the motivations, not only behind our own actions and our own beliefs, but with those who are different than us. I encourage you to take time to listen, to explore your own feelings, perhaps even jot them down, and then to begin to listen to the other side. And are there commonalities? Where can we begin to find that common ground on which to work, on which to rebuild what is now broken, but which is not lost?